The science of DNA activation and attunement can be best understood through epigenetics. Epigenetics is the study of hereditable phenotype changes that do not involve alterations in the DNA sequence. In other words, it's the study of factors that influence the epigenome. And I have this symbol here to help you remember. When you hear the word epigenome, I want you to think of an ecosystem. The epigenome is a sheath that surrounds each one of your DNA, and it is like an ecosystem. It feeds your DNA. So when you have an epigenome that is full of light and nutrients and attention to health, then your DNA will shift and change in ways that are healing. The study of epigenetics is the study of how factors, both positive and negative factors, influence the epigenome. Your epigenome, the sheath of chemicals and proteins that cushion and modify each strand of DNA, sits on top of your DNA. Your epigenome can actually change the way that both cells and genes express. Epigenetics is the study of how your behaviors and your environment can cause changes that affect your epigenome and affect the way your genes work. Unlike genetic changes, epigenetic changes are reversible, and they do not change your DNA sequence, but they change how your body reads a DNA sequence. So what that means is you may still have a gene that says you are susceptible to a certain type of cancer, but a healthy, healed epigenome that's surrounding that gene can change the way your body reacts. It can change the way your DNA instructs cells as well. I look at it like each strand of our DNA is like a child, and the epigenome is like the home that the child lives in. And so you can have a child that has, let's say, ADHD, but if you put that child in a home with a lot of structure and love and stimulus that allows their mind to thrive in positive ways, then that ADHD is going to express differently than if you put that child in a place that has no structure and no place to constructively channel its energy. In this way, then, we can deeply transform the way that our cells express. The study of our epigenome teaches us that genes react to environment and experience. Gene expression can be turned up or down through the epigenome. And the most important thing to remember about this is that our DNA is made up of genes. A gene is a unit of DNA that carries instructions for making a specific protein or set of proteins that then form the building blocks for all cells. So every cell in our body is constantly being regenerated, and it's our DNA that is instructing those cells how they are going to form. And it's the epigenome that is the home of our DNA. And our genes are fluid. They're malleable and they're interconnected. They're always changing and shifting. They are not static and set in stone. And our genes are constantly creating cells. So the epigenome then stores short-term genetic activity that goes back as far as several generations, which means your epigenome can be instructing or creating a home for your cells that is either healthy, that allows your cells to thrive, or that is imbalanced and that instructs cells that are diseased or that contain illness. To put this in context, there are an estimated 30 trillion cells in your body right now. Virtually every cell in your body, every one of those 30 trillion cells, contains a complete copy of the approximately 3 billion DNA molecules that make up our human genome. So every cell has within it DNA, and all DNA is a combination of a set of approximately 3 billion different molecules. So they're mixed together in different combinations, but within every cell, you have some combination of those molecules. 30 trillion cells times 3 billion molecules in every cell. That gives you a total of 7 billion, billion, which if you were to write that out in numbers, it would look like this: 7 followed by 18 zeros. That's how many DNA molecules you have right now in your body that are instructing your cells. It was originally believed that there were only about 19,000 unique genes within every human body. And remember, the genes are within our DNA. Genomic studies have led to findings. So recently, what we've learned, there's actually about more than double what we originally thought: 46,800 unique genes. That's as of 2018. And only 46 unique DNA molecules have been discovered. So of these 3 billion DNA molecules that are in every cell, we've only discovered 46 of them to be unique. That means that the majority of these molecules are repeating. So of these 7 billion DNA molecules in our body, we really have only identified a tiny little fraction of the genes and the unique molecules that make up these cells. And in fact, scientists for a long time now have considered all the rest of those molecules. So they say, okay, we know these 46,000 unique genes exist. We know these 46 unique DNA molecules exist. And they say, you know what? All the rest, the remaining 98% of human DNA, we consider this junk DNA. And what that means is that it has no impact on the coding of proteins that create cells. So what they're saying is these genes that they've discovered and the unique DNA molecules, they know what these do. They create specific codes that make proteins that lead to the creation of cells. But the rest, they don't know. There is no current knowledge of what happens with the rest of this huge amount of molecules in our body. So the way I want you to think of it is, I want you to think of it like an ocean. And what traditional scientists are doing is they're trying to count all of the fish and the life in the ocean, right? And they're saying, well, we don't understand 98% of it. And so that is not relevant. But what I invite you to think about is, what if all of those 7 billion cells in your body, what if they were all important? What if all of them had a purpose? And what if all of them contributed both to your healing and to illness and disease? And so instead of trying to count all of the fish in the ocean, we are going to, in our DNA activation attunement process, we're trying to create the healthiest ocean we can so that all the fish and all the life in the ocean can thrive. That is why you want to think of your DNA like living in an ecosystem. That 7 billion, all those molecules, they're living in an ecosystem. And that ecosystem, it's your body, it's your energy field. That is your personal ocean. What the epigenome contains is it contains these molecules that are proteins and chemicals that enclose DNA like a sleeve. So just like the ocean surrounds the fish, this epigenome, which is an invisible field, it surrounds our DNA. The epigenome acts as a switching mechanism that allows DNA to be turned off or on or up or down, the way a dimmer switch turns the lights up or down. So think the epigenome can turn on health, or it can turn on disease, or it can turn off a healing mechanism, or it can turn off a diseased pattern. It's within our epigenome that genes get switched on and off like a light switch, and up and down like a thermostat. Research in epigenetics also shows us that our environment, our food, the substances we put in our body that is not food, our community, our daily habits, our physical exercise, and our relationships all impact our epigenome. The epigenome then collects all of this environmental energy and data and creates marks on the DNA. These marks can be both positive and lead to healing, or negative and lead to disease. Our epigenome then is like the energy field of our cells. Research already tells us that meditation, energy healing, a plant-based diet, and all of our relationships can affect our epigenome. We know this for certain. However, there's no research on holistic healing modalities like energy healing, like hypnosis, like spiritual healing, like breath work. We have not researched how these modalities can impact our epigenome. And it is my sincere belief and our purpose at Pleiadian Institute to dedicate our lives to researching holistic healing modalities, because their impact on our epigenome will change the way that we see health. It will change the way that we understand healing, and it will change the way the world understands these things. Let's see how this connects to our light body and Merkaba field. To activate your DNA is also to activate your light body. So think again about this ecosystem that is your epigenome. It doesn't just contain each cell or each molecule, but it contains the invisible space that surrounds your cells. It contains your entire energy field. As you activate your DNA, then, you simultaneously activate your light body. Your Merkaba vehicle of light is the name of your fully activated light body. When your light body is fully activated, it stretches out 50 feet in all directions. And when we activate our DNA consistently over time in a repetitive process, we fully are able to expand into the 50-foot field that is known as our Merkaba vehicle of light. According to our current scientific research, the large majority of our DNA, that 98%,